Welcome everyone. Today's video is a very special topic. We are talking about how to really introduce spirituality, spirit guides, a multidimensional quantum practice to your children. And if this is your first time at my table, welcome. My name is Sarah. I am a channel. I do spiritual counseling. I, kind of help introduce you to the woo-woo and help you make sense of a little bit of what's going on in this current reality that we call June 2024. And it's a little bit upside down, side to side, here and there. It doesn't really matter what your belief system is in this current reality. Every single person acknowledges that something is off, something is different. And, spirituality, aliens, guardian angels, all of this woo-woo, all of this even meditation is becoming so mainstream, for lack of a better term. And so the intention, actually, I'll start with what really opened this up. And so I have a client that sent me a message the other day asking this question. And she had just said, what is okay to teach your children about spirituality, spirit guides, and all the wild truths out there? Her intention was to not interfere with their soul's journey. She had come from a very religious background, and so she's still unpacking a lot of that damage, for lack of a better term, to say, it has to be this way, it has to be in this box, it has to be in this, like, if it ain't through Jesus, it's not the way. And so we're going to talk about all of that, utilizing the knowledge. Her intention was, to offer information that was accessible. I'm getting ahead of myself. To utilize this knowledge to co-create with their thoughts, because we know that our thoughts, words, actions, and intentions really create our universe, create our trajectory. From a leadership lens, I speak in lenses around here. It's, your habits dictate your future. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And so, should it be hidden in storytelling or archetypes, spirit guides? She didn't want to cross any boundaries. What is right for their soul to receive? And so those were, in a nutshell, everything that had come through in her question to me. And, as a channel, as a mystic, and, someone who does this work, literally as I was reading the message, I was getting downloaded with all of the appropriate answers and all of the appropriate things. And so I've spoken at length before about, the generational quests. I've spoken at length before about how, the youngsters, the kiddos nowadays are more ancient than my soul is. I learn more from working with the kiddos than I do anyone else. Like a few weeks ago, I pulled tarot cards at the senior barbecue for the little city the little town that I live in. And I can't even tell you, A, how much I received, but B, how busy I was. I arrived, went and go piddled, came back, sat down, and I did not stop working for 4 straight hours, back to back to back to back to back sessions. And it was kind of cool because the crowd of people were kind of standing around me. So even energetically, it was a welcoming into the area. And this is, teenagers like 18, 17, 19 years old. So I was very, very excited about that. I definitely, part of my specialties is I teach telepathy. The babies that are being born nowadays are extremely telepathic. The first person on this planet that ever communicated telepathically with me, she's 7 now, but she was about 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old when it happened. She's going to be 8 years old now. And so my teachers are the kiddos. I have a whole video on respecting your elders, quote unquote, because the, human elders on this planet are worthy of your respect. Please, for the love of God, respect your grandparents, your great-grandparents. They're worthy of respect. But the babies and the youngsters and the kiddos, any younger generation, they have the codes. They have the understanding within them of what to do with the new world. So first and foremost, I want to really express my intention is to offer some really accessible information for you. This video is for parents. It is not for kiddos. At the end, when I really sat in meditation with my guides, the Council of Nine really came through. And if some of this is super duper woo woo for you, that's okie dokie. I'm going to wrap it back around again and offer you as much take what resonates and leave what doesn't resonate. I always say that everything in this realm, in spirituality, in religion, in awakening, in leadership, this is all a cafeteria line. So take what resonates for you and leave the rest. If it is triggering or frustrating for you, in the same way that you don't really sit at the cafeteria line and stare at the Brussels sprouts and you're like, I just hate Brussels sprouts. You don't do that. You just walk right past the Brussels sprouts. So if something that I'm saying is a little bit too much for you, that's completely fine. I'm going to offer as much in this teaching, in this podcast. I'm going to do this podcast style as I can. And so I was channeling and I was just getting ready to really speak truth and grounding and bubbling myself and cutting ties before this video, before I press record. And so I'm going to offer a light language healing at the end of this video, and I will timestamp it for you. And so my offering for you is to play that light language video for your infant, for your toddler, for your youngster, maybe nonverbal to going into a verbal space, or, if your child has what someone else has maybe pegged as a developmental disability or, a mental health something or other, play just that light language healing for them. And it's a communication tool, and see how that resonates and see how that goes. And I'll talk a little bit about light language and what that is and all different things moving forward. So that is a little bit of what is, the intention and the topics that we're going to cover. I'll introduce myself a little bit more and, speak to my childhood and my backstory. I have numerous videos to talk about, my human story. There's a whole playlist, my Waking Up Post-Woke series. So if you're really interested in kind of what happened to me and, in a sense, now that I'm 37, what I contracted to happen to me, I speak from I statements around here. So although I don't have human children of my own, I had a download a very long time ago that if you're keen to have babies, have those babies right now. They are going to change the world. If you're not keen to have babies, help those that have children. So I'm not able to do in this moment in time what I am here to do, what my mission speaks to, which is be helpful and offer guidance and security and healing and anything that I possibly can to my community, to my YouTube community, to my Gloucester community, and to the parents. So I work with kiddos, I work with teenagers. It's really, I teach self-mastery. I usually utilize the lens of astrology or tarot. Those are very accessible starting points. One of my last teenage sessions, I spent half of it with mom and her, all the three of us together talking at the same time. And then mom left for a minute. We did a little bit of a healing, a Reiki healing, and I channeled through that healing. And she was able to receive downloads, information, and some accessible tools to put into her toolbox. That's my intention for you. That's why, one of my playlists is called The Toolbox. I am here to offer guidance for you to whittle tools that you can put into your toolbox to go out into the world as your most authentic self. It's not the best version of you because, we all have a shadow. It's not noon all day long. We all have a darker side to us that we have to look at. We also have to deep dive into those things. We're also very efficient in our processes. And also for my parents right now, for my homeschooling parents, for my parents that really want to be homeschooling, for my parents that don't want to put their kiddos in the system, or maybe they did and they're trying to take their kiddo back out of it. You're doing a great job. I really want you to know that. You are doing an incredible job. You're figuring it out. It's a wild world out there. So please, I'm offering you some grace. Please take some pressure off. Please know that you're doing a great job, and there's no way to mess this up. There's no way to mess this up. I'm just going to hop right in. If you are keen for a consultation, a free consultation for 15 minutes, send me an email and we'll set up a Zoom, we'll set up a FaceTime or, an Instagram, like a FaceTime or something local if you're in the North Shore of Massachusetts. But I really just want to get in because all of my downloads are coming in hot. So if you are interested in more information to get to know me and my practice, you can start with the Waking Up Post-Woke. It's broken up into, an introduction, childhood, adolescent, and all of those different things. Or just reach out directly and we can chit chat and you can get to know me and my story because I just want to get going immediately. I lost the thought. That's okay. We're just gonna get right into it. So I'm going to check in with my guides and then offer some information. Nope. They said that they'll give it to me if they need to. But first and foremost, I want you to lead with love. I want you to lead with love. And I want you to know that you couldn't, it came back. Thank you. All right. If you are in a sense judging the technology addiction of your kiddos, children, no matter who you are, if you are judging and viewing a technological addiction to the infants, to the babies, whatever age it is, maybe you're a grandparent that you see your grandkids and they're just like attached to the tablets and they know how to swipe up the notifications without even, I want you to know without a shadow of a doubt in my bones, they are going to be fine. They contracted that level of disassociation, for lack of a better term, so they did not have to have a substance abuse addiction in this lifetime. There's a whole video of mine where it takes human life takes a certain level of disassociation. I'll put the link for that below in 2024. These children are so bright and so telepathic and so knowing that they literally cannot handle the amount of war and death and fear and, lack that's going on right now. So don't judge the fact that they're addicted to their telephones. They're just so sensitive that they need something to focus on. This is so they don't have substance abuse issues, that they don't start drinking their faces off and they don't start overusing cannabis. Let them have the phone. Let them have it. And that's okie dokie. You don't have to worry about them. And I'll get into, how to not project your feelings onto them and your issues and worries. What happens to us, I'm a millennial. What happened to any other generation before us will not happen to these kiddos. And I'm going to start off brazenly and just time out again and say this video and a lot of the topics that I'm going to cover are not for children. This is for the parents. I am not speaking to kids right now. We're going to cover, a lot of things. I'm just going to say time out right now because as I continue this video, I'm going to be speaking about topics that you might want to check in with yourself before you offer to your kids. So take a minute, pause this video. I'll use Madame Isma for the pause. Usually I do this a lot earlier in the video, but grab a coffee or tea, sit with me. I have a coconut milk matcha with some honey, and I have my journal, and I have some clean water that I pick up at a spring in Linfield, Boston Clear Water Company. They're amazing. The water never touches the light of sun until I take it out of the tap. So pause the video, go grab your things, come back, turn the video off from your children. And like I said, I'll timestamp it. So if you want to give the video to your infants at the very end and they can listen to the light language healing, that's an amazing thing. So there is a significant amount of war, death. There's the pedo situation that's going on in Hollywood right now. And it is disgusting. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely certain things we can't fathom in this conversation, in this here and now, which is tough for a lot of people. We're also going to talk about Santa in a little bit. So that's why I don't really want, whatever your belief system is on that and how you decide to offer that to your kiddos. It's just very interesting that I was listening to a podcast. It was Danica Patrick and Elizabeth April was on there. And I'll put the link for that podcast below because the fact that, my client message about the kids, I got this huge download and then content that I was really listening to spoke to this exact thing. You'll find that a lot is that once it's in the cloud, once it's in the collective consciousness, and I'll put the link below I have a whole video that I recorded last year. What exactly is the collective consciousness? I have many resources for you. So I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not behind. You can't mess this up. Your kiddos are we're not projecting our traumas onto our kids anymore. So lead with love. That is first and foremost, that if your intention, my intention is to offer you the best, most accessible information. I channel direct from source energy. My guides come through, the Council of Nine comes through. I have, a very interesting new extraterrestrial divine feminine guide. Her name is Nasha. And at first I thought her name was Niche. It's a very light language, but I did a tarot party for a family. It was a birthday party last fall or winter 2023, and there's a very bright youngster there that, you know, was very, very bright. I don't want to say nonverbal, but was on the spectrum in some capacity that maybe someone has pegged. But, you know, the children that are on the spectrum, you know, myself included, are some of the brightest beings in this entire world. So we're going to talk about stemming. We're going to, like, that's actually something that I really want you to teach, is, you know, how to get your kids to stem and to get some of the energy off. And I'll give you a few other tools as well. And so I hadn't named my smoky quartz when I was doing this party, nor was I yet connected to Nasha. I was speaking about Jeffrey, you know, my childhood friend, and I have him tattooed right on my body here, and my imaginary friend, as they call them. And so I had asked the youngster that was not really communicating with me very much, like he was very telepathic, but still a little bit like, when you kind of connect sometimes when you're 3 to 6, I'd say like 3 to 7, and you connect to someone that can speak telepathically for the first time, it can be a little scary and a little jarring. Whereas, you know, someone is there within that vibration when you usually feel very alone. You know, the infants, I'd say like 0, like birth to 3, they're just so comfortably telepathic. And so it's not really like, they'll have full on conversations with me. Usually, like at my restaurant job, the babies will have full on conversation with me. It doesn't matter how bubbled I am. It doesn't matter how much I turn down the dial of my, you know, woo woo or my channeling capabilities. They are just so clear, that it's beyond. And so I have so much to speak to this. So I apologize if I'm all over the place. It's just, I'm so grateful. And I just have to say that I'm dedicating this entire video, and could be a series, so please ask questions and comment below, to childhood Sarah, and being, it's like one of the greatest gifts in this world to be the version of an adult that your child needed, that you needed when you were a kid. And so I'm here to make my childhood self, my inner child and my inner teenager proud. So I'm very, very excited about this. Very, very excited. So pardon me. Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of the kiddos and so grateful for them. And, you know, this is my last human life, so I'm putting it all out there as much as I possibly can, because the kiddos, you know, there's finally light workers that are strong enough and brave enough to take over. So it's really cool. So this little youngster at that tarot party, I was like, what's this name? You know, I have Marvin, we have, you know, Madame Esma. I don't name them all, and this one, you know, isn't a skull. So I just said, like, what's its name? And he, Nasha, without question, without any version of a hesitation. And that's, you know, I have, like I had said, my spirit guide Jeffrey, my childhood protector and best friend, you know, what some people would call an imaginary friend. I have a little, you know, crystal skull, not a crystal skull, a frog, and it's a Dalmatian jasper frog, which is a Dalmatian stone. It's not technically a Dalmatian jasper. So I brought it with me to my restaurant job, and it was just in my pocket 2 years ago. And in the middle of the shift, you know, I was talking to, you know, one of the waiter's aides. I think she was 14 at the time. And I was like, oh, I need to name Jeffrey, or I need to name my frog. What's his name? And she just looked at it and goes, Jeffrey. And so I started bawling like a baby. And it was really an exciting thing. Like, they just get it. You know, and I waitress at a really lovely, wonderful restaurant in Gloucester. And so there are moments that, you know, the waiter's aides, they're usually like between 14 and 20 something, you know, some of them are older. But I was chatting with a bunch of them last summer where I was like, not all of them are woo-woo. Not in anywhere, all of them woo-woo. I just have to make a note, hold on. One of them gave me their birth time, and I didn't want to forget to do the chart before shift tonight. So they just, you know, one of them had asked me a while ago, like, what's an ego death? You know, even Snapchat has a filter where you can put in your birth time and you get all of the different things. And so I asked them, I was like, you guys aren't really worried about like financial fear in the future? You know that they'll kind of just like flip the switch on student loan debt, and we'll just kind of be going into a different lack-free society later on in the future. And these are like bros. Like, these are like, this is a hockey town. These are not in any way woo-woo children. And they're just like eating their chicken and rice. Like, actually, yeah, that really resonates. That really makes sense. Yeah. They'll fix it. And the link is always in the description for my digital downloads. The generational quests, that's definitely, it's a $2.22 download. If that is not accessible for you, just use the code MAX, lowercase MAX, and it becomes completely free. But I speak to each generation and what it is that they're here to do as a collective. And so that's exciting. So lead with love. Nasha, I have so many notes. Okay. So the first foundational tool that I would give to you, or the foundational recommendation offering, I speak to this in every other one of my videos, not just this video, which is, I am a guide and not a guru. Like, there are no living gurus on this planet, in my personal practice and opinion. I can only speak to, like I said, my childhood and what worked for me and the things that happened to me. And pardon my crassness here, but if there is a living guru on the planet that sits on the toilet and poops the same way that I do, there are no living gurus. We're human. We're exactly like, this is, Pluto and Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. There's not going to be this top down type of like, I know better than you. This is what works for me in my practice. Like I said, take what resonates and don't take what doesn't. So I'm just going to speak to Jeffrey because I hear some of you just asking about him. So my childhood friend, my imaginary friend, Jeffrey, and the reason that and this happens a lot. This happens to this day. I thought everybody had an imaginary friend named Jeffrey that spoke telepathically to them and taught them how to bubble themselves. Truly. And so I didn't speak about it a lot. Like, even right now, as I look back on my childhood, there's so much that I do remember, so much that I don't remember. I actually don't even remember speaking words sometimes. And so that's a lot to do with what I'm unpacking in my current reality and the way that I see myself back then. But the view that I always get is, and definitely go watch my Waking Up Post-Woke series to understand a little bit about why I had this experience and why this was necessary. But he taught me how to bubble myself. So I could hear the thoughts of everyone around me. I could hear them. And I'm learning now that touch is a way that I can hear things. Like, I hear through touch. And so I know that could be why your kiddo screams when, you have somebody that really you kind of get an ick around holds them. Yeah, trust their cries. And also, if this is a little bit too overwhelming for you or for your child, definitely let your child know that they are covered by Sarah's protocol. The link is always below in the description. It is a free digital download that my soul multidimensionally contracted to help bubble you, your family, your kiddos, everyone, until you're ready to take that over. It's a very simple declaration as to how to kind of like take over that. But just tell your kiddo that if they see scary things and they're crying at night, just say, tell those bad guys that they're covered by Sarah's protocol, and they will instantly go away. Try it out without question. Without question. It is law. Once you speak it, it is law. So trust their cries, Sarah's protocol, and the link is below. I'm just going through all of my notes right now. When you are going into the grocery store, for example, and your kid starts screaming, crying, it could be that someone is thinking really negative thoughts about your child, about you. Maybe there's something like a crash, boom, bang that's about to happen. Something's going on. And also raise a hands as empathetic people, and I'm really hearing that a lot of parents that are going to be drawn to this, and please share this with parents with very, very empathetic children as well, that if you feel like this is going over your head, just watch it a few times, and my voice and looking into my eyes is meant to unlock codes within you. It is in every description, every single description. So you can just sit back and watch. If anything that I speak or preach is anxiety producing, just time out, drink your water, drink your coffee or tea, and hang out. It'll make sense. It's like the other day when I was watching the Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan, it took me 3 times to be like, okay, that's enough quantum physics and mechanics, and then come back. And I do quantum healing. I do multidimensional work, and that took a lot for me to process. So just know that this is happening slowly but surely in your brain. Trust their cries. So if you ever, give your kiddo to someone and they start hysterically crying as if a hot red poker is on them, if you walk into a store and they do the same thing, that is not a tantrum. That is not egoic. I need you to leave that location if you can. I need you to leave that location if you can. Even do a loop around the parking lot and just bubble them and then go back in. It could be a 30-second roundabout for a different timeline. I just need you to learn how to trust them, because if they are your family's first empath, they are worthy of the bubbling and the safety and protection. They are worthy of you honoring them and what it is that they are experiencing. They do not have verbal language yet. So if they're screaming, crying, that's their only tool. And if we don't listen to those tools, they start to get SICK. I don't even like to speak that out. But for example, when I was a kiddo, it was like a joke how many ear infections I had. A joke. An absolute joke, because I could hear everything. And I experienced childhood sexualization from uncles and possibly grandparents. So that is why I got those ear infections all the time. And so if they're having eye infections, they're seeing everything, ear infections, like throat stop, like all of these things, this is their body getting clogged up because they don't have the language for it. Some of you are asking about like the boogers and stuff like that. Draining. Are they drinking tap water? Are they drinking clean water? Like as little processed food as possible, as little processed anything as possible. That might just be that they're eating things that, like I love my dried mango, that it's from Mexico, and then this is from here, and this is from here, and this is from here. And then you're listening to music from this timeline, and then this timeline, and this time and space. So check the music that you're putting on, and, really be aware of that. Check the content of the videos that you're watching, all the different things. I know this is a lot, but they're worthy of you doing this work. And if nothing else, bubbling them and cutting ties to them would be the most advantageous and healthiest thing for both of your soul's growth and development. So let's continue. Okay, back to Jeffrey. No, I really want to offer this at the beginning, and I know that this is a longer video than I had already expected it to be, but I really want us to understand this one. I need you to check your ego first. If you're talking about teenagers or, any kiddos that are tween, teen, and beyond, and you're having your spiritual awakening and you're offering new things to them, I need you to check your ego. What is definite and what is your definite? What is your reality and what is actual laws of this universe? What do you mean by that, Sarah? So I know that, we will have, like the future that I want to live in, everybody has a horse and buggy and a flying car. And that we'll have instant manifestation, very Star Trek-esque, but that's not in this here and now. We are still in the third dimension. We are in time and space. And yes, we are ascending to the fifth dimension, but right now we have laws like gravity. I know that maybe one day we teleport and we can fly and all these things, but that's not today. So gravity is pretty definite. We can all agree that gravity is something that we do have to deal with in this time and space. That's the foundation that I want you to have. As spiritual as you are, you might swing a little bit more towards the religious side of things, which, for example, my name is Sarah. And so I was reading the book because I was like, oh my goodness, what is, the story of Sarah? Where does that come from? And it's the circumcision story. That's the first time you meet Sarah. They're talking about circumcision. And so there are many schools of thought nowadays that say that circumcision is, literally like sexualizing the young boys before they have any sort of autonomy over their body. Then there's another side that says that is the way. Abram became Abraham by doing that, by becoming subservient to a God of their understanding. So whichever way you decide to understand that, know that those are what work for you. That's not what's going to work for everyone. But everybody has to deal with gravity. You know what I mean? So these are kind of the ways that I want you to check your ego as you are teaching your children and offering them things about spirituality. You can also speak from I statements. You know, if you have a youngster that has an imaginary friend and you want to talk to the imaginary friend, you want to get going with those guides, this is what I would recommend for you, because that, you know, the kiddo that, you know, really named Nasha, he had his own imaginary friend, and the parents really wanted to talk to the imaginary friend. They were scared. They were like, is this a grandparent? Is this? And I was like, and they said every time we ask our son about their imaginary friend, he won't talk about him at all. So what I would recommend in those situations is you connect to your spirit team. You connect to your spirit guides. You connect to your imaginary friends. It could be a grandma that you connect with in your dream space. This is where you really start to integrate your own practice and then start speaking about your spirit team as naturally as you would talk about the weather. I want you to take the whole preface chunk of this might sound weird, or I know that, you know, you have your spirit guide, but now I have mine. This isn't about ego. You got to take your ego out of it. And I'm going to do an entire Zoom coming up in a month or two, I would say, about intuitive listening and how to really hold space for others. This could be really advantageous for parents as they get going, because the way that your child, that's a complete separate soul. The way that they see everything is going to be integral to their soul's growth and timeline, and it might look different than yours. So you have to be able to honor and respect where they're at and just know that they're safe and bubbled and protected. And for parents of infants, it would be advantageous for you to bubble them and remind them every day, you are safe, you are loved, I've got you, because a lot of these ancient souls, they're not used to time and space. Some of the babies that I meet at the grocery store, they're like, I am so sorry. I can't raise my head up to bow at you and to really honor you. And I'm trying to shake your hand, but I just pooped in my diaper. And I'm like, welcome to time and space. Truly. My soul is billions of years old. So I didn't understand, when my consciousness came here, I didn't understand the difference between a breath and billions of years. So I get it. So, connect to your spirit team and connect to your spirit guides. And then maybe while you're just having breakfast and you're, really getting, everybody ready for their day, just say, I had a dream last night that was really special. Great grandma was there and she was teaching me about all these different things. And, I've been talking to my higher self about the future plans, and speak from I statements and what you are integrating in your daily life, and let them ask questions. Invite them in that way. So you're not preaching and teaching and saying, this is the way of the world and everything was a manipulation and the reptilians are leaving the planet and they're running things and everybody's going, you don't have to do that. They know, their soul already knows that. Their soul already knows all of these different things, so you don't have to worry about that. If it's fear-based, you don't have to worry about it. They already know. That's why they're in the phones. That's why they're in the little bubbles. That's why they're doing all the things. So don't worry about them. They're more ancient than we are, than I am. Dude. So what is your reality and what is the actual reality of this current time and space? So I would say checking your ego before you do any teaching and preaching to the kiddos, that would be step one, because we all have our traumas, big T, little t traumas. Whereas we were raised Catholic, we were raised agnostic, we were raised atheist, we were raised this way. And so a lot of people right now, again, it's June 2024, are swinging back to the other side. Whether we have super spiritual people that are going to the book, and people that were at the book that are going woo-woo, people are throwing away their tarot cards, doing all the things. It's all love. If you lead with love, it's not anything like that. Yes, there are good and bad. There's light and dark. There's angels and demons. They're all those things. But if you lead with love and you remind yourself that you are surrounded and bubbled in an impenetrable force field, it is law. They can't touch you. Can't touch this. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Jeffrey now, because when I was a baby, heard all the thoughts, dealt with all the things, was worried when I was sleeping that I could feel people touching me in my, that time, my very sacral areas and private areas. And so he taught me, I'd say when I was 3 years old, 3 years old, that I was bubbled in an impenetrable force field. And, it was funny because my main concern was breathing. I was like, well, if I'm in this bubble, how am I going to breathe? And so he reminded me that my cord going to the space that I, reside in was also bubbled with an impenetrable force field, was also covered in an invisibility cloak. I was 3 years old. But it was so natural and inherent to me that I didn't talk about it because I literally just thought that everybody had access to this. A few years ago, I didn't know. A few years ago, I didn't know that everybody couldn't see the angels and the aliens and all the different beings around them. I had no idea. I thought that this was accessible for everyone. So that's why I had to start talking about it, and I'm throwing everything out there. I'm going full hog, all in on my YouTube, on every bit of this. Because I'm here for you. Like I said, it's my last human life, so I'm happy about that. That's a choice, and I've spoken of that many times. So, checking your ego, bubbling, trust the cries, Sarah's protocol, imaginary friends, talk to yours, familiarize them in the conversation. So the imaginary friends, and, I have a dear friend and client as well that she's unpacking her imaginary friend from childhood whose name was Mikey. And so she was working with Archangel Michael from her childhood. So knowing that it could be an ancestor, it could be an archangel, it could be a galactic spirit team. Like my spirit team is right here, and I've, talked about them numerous times. They change and they go, and I have, two guardian angels. I have, ancient, beings that I helped in many lifetimes ago that are here as my guides and protectors. It is different for everyone. It is different for everyone. It's tough to go around. I'm answering a question that I'm hearing in my mind is like, I want to get to know my kids' spirit team, and like we can get to know your spirit team and understand how integral that is, and then we can offer a safe space for your kiddo to connect with them. And it's very much like, so this is going to be age-based. The absolute infants, yes, we can connect and we can speak telepathically, and we can find out. This is for one-on-one sessions, what I'm offering and what I'm hearing right now. So for infants and, nonverbals, we can definitely communicate telepathically and get access to that, and that is so okie dokie. For children and teenagers and that beings that are communicative, it has to be a round table, round circle. I'm happy to meet with you and the kiddos all at the same time, and we can speak about, I can talk about my team and they can join us in the room and all of that stuff. But it's kind of like when you're, running after a pup that you're trying to bring with you and it doesn't come, but then as soon as you run the other way, they come that way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Okie dokie. So there is a tool that I want to give right now, which is this hazmat suit. And I do this after every single video, every single session, every single restaurant shift, numerous times a day. I utilize this tool. And so this is something that you can offer to your kiddos. You can teach them this. And so I want you to pretend after you, did anything. So this is what I do after a session. I pretend that I'm in this bubble, this hazmat suit, and it's covered in the gook, the thoughts, the expectations, the needs of others, all the different things. And so I just basically hold the zipper. You have to make the noise. And zip, and then I come out of it, I step out of it, and then I run my hands under cold water. And I just say, that energy is off, that session is over, I am not the thoughts of others, I am not what they need of me, I have no attachments to my clients. I cut ties brazenly, so the statement that I'm about to declare to you is something that you are allowed to utilize. We're going to get into cord cutting now, which is, I cut ties to everyone, living or dead, across all time and space. And I visualize like all of the little cords, either I use like And in Sarah's protocol, I talk about this a little bit more in depth as well. Or I picture that, like my whole body is butter that just became melted, and it just zzz, and it just, all the cords go away. That's a massive declaration. It is because the people that I choose to keep in my life are of my highest timeline. We choose to be in each other's lives, and we are there on mission for the highest and greatest good of all involved and invested. It has no ego attachment to it. I don't want anyone in my life that is not meant to be in my life. I don't want anyone to keep me in their life if I am not meant to be in their lives. So by making these declarations, it clears all of our karma and says we have no attachment to each other. We choose to be in each other's lives. This is advantageous and important, and I'm going to put the link for that Danica Patrick podcast. EA is a mother, and she speaks to this, so I don't want to offer this to you because I don't have a child. I want you to have validation from someone who has a mother, and she has been a channel since she was a baby. So I'll put the link to that below for you, where she, was really getting down during times that, her kiddo was really sad and she didn't really know what to do. Long and short of it, she started cutting ties to her child, and it cleared up both of their energies to be sovereign, to be able to, this is important for some of you, so you don't have that constant attachment. You choose every day to reattach. It doesn't change any bit of how much you love them. It's actually a way to love them more. You fill up your cup. I'm just going to link it, and I'll timestamp it. Actually, it's already timestamped. I'm just going to link that podcast episode because it was just so cool that, my client messaged me. I'm listening to something that I'm really just fascinated by anyways. And then I get this whole, it's in there. It's already in there. So I'll offer that as well. Boundaries and cord cutting, bubbling the hazmat suit, trust their cries, there's protocol, guardian angels, spirit guides. We're almost done. This is great. Imaginary friends, talk to your team, familiarize the convo. Okay, so now we're going to get to the nonverbal little ones. And so the infants that they're being born nowadays are completely telepathic. Completely telepathic. What do you mean by that, Sarah? So if you come from a family that maybe is a little bit divided, since 2020, and you just had a baby, and everyone comes together and just looks in this baby's eyes, and it's kind of like staring into a bonfire on the beach on a beautiful summer August day, and you're like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. There's nothing to worry about. When my nephew was born, my parents shook hands. Yeah, they weren't really allowed to communicate without a lawyer or police officer present, and they shook hands and congratulated each other on being it was beyond special. And so the real infants that are being born nowadays are beyond words telepathic. Definitely check their astrological chart. I love doing baby birth chart readings, so please reach out directly and we can order one of those. If telepathy is not something that if this is brand new to you, speak it and then think it, and then it is law. You are loved. You are safe. You are bubbled. You are protected. I've got you. I can handle this. You can be in time and space. Go however general human to woo you want to be. However you want. You are safe. You are loved. You can take your time. I've got you. These are really important things. Speak it and then think it. Think of how much time you spent just thinking about your little one when they were in the womb. You played the music, you did all of that, and now they're in time and space and they're just like, oh my God, literally, I started writing my book about my multidimensional life, and I was just talking about I remember being in the womb. I remember now. I didn't remember back then, but I remember now. And it's so peaceful and loving because the thoughts of everyone around you is just literally, you're at the store, you're at the mall, you're doing whatever, and everyone's like, oh, I hope she's safe, let her go in traffic, give her the seat on the bus, all the different things. But then as soon as you're born, people have judgments of the kiddos. Oh, you're so cute, or you're not so cute. Oh my God, they're crying too much. Oh my God, they're crying too much. All these different things. So people start to project ego onto them. So it's important to keep utilizing the same declarations that you did when they were in the womb as they are in time and space for probably the first time. These are incredibly ancient beings. They have not experienced karma. They are not, they're not old souls in the way that they've gone through karma in the same way that my soul has, where I was like, I've been on this road a lot. They're coming in clean. They're coming in so pure, and so time and space is new to them. They change the world vibrationally. Just by existing, they change the world. So we have to then utilize some of our archaic tools. Words are going to be archaic in the future. Yeah, in a few lifetimes, it's going to be so telepathic. Even within this lifetime, it'll be more, I'm hearing like 20-30% telepathic, and then the rest is going to be words. We're just going to understand vibrationally. And it'll depend on your trajectory and your timeline. There's no judgment. You can use words. Just like tarot cards one day are going to be completely ancient. And we're not even going to need them, because it's like you can just look in the eyes of the client and be like, this is where you're at and this is where you need to heal. So just a thought. You are safe, bubbled, and protected. Those are good declarations. Language learner. What is that? Gibberish equals light language. Okie dokie. So for language learners, I see it at the restaurant a lot, and I don't always step in. If the table is open to it, I talk to them. If they have questions, I never interject, be like, your baby's talking telepathically to me. That's not what they want to hear. That's not what they want to hear. And so for language learners, they point at something. They point at this, and they say, you're like, that's a chair. Yeah, that's a chair. Can you say chair? What I would love to offer for you. What's that? Tell me more. What do you see? Babies see auras. Babies see colors. Sometimes I've had little ones look at me and be like, wow, because they can see the aura. They can see my angel wings. They can see whatever dimension. To go back to that, what was it? The senior barbecue. I was pulling tarot cards. Very enlightened being. Very, very enlightened. What's the term that they use? Like neurodivergent or something? Neurospicy? Thank goodness for my autism, or else I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I do. But we were just laughing about how many different universes we could see all at the same time. And all the different beings and all the different, and she saw my wings and I saw her wings and all this, it was so, an 18-year-old, yeah, that might have been pegged as being developmentally, so just instead of just an offering, they point at something. What do you see? And gibberish is a version of light language. I know that's a lot to unpack, but look into light language. Do your own research with every single thing that I offer you. Every single thing that I offer you, do your own research on it. Also, if you're somebody that's very new to this, very, very new, I want you to be very gentle with yourself, but I would love for you to download DuckDuckGo or a non-traceable search engine and then use Google and put the phrase into both and just see the difference. That's a real way. I'm an experiential learner. I am a mystic. I had to go down so many different rabbit holes to come back to tell the tale. So I could speak from I statements, and I could say to you, I'm not I don't have the placards on the wall. I don't have any of that. I just have experienced it. This is just what I can offer for you. And hopefully some of it resonates. If I can help one soul have a few more tools in their toolbox, I've done my job today. That's all. So light language. What is light language? It's kind of like, English is more of the universal language of planet Earth, where wherever you go, you can kind of probably find someone that speaks English. Light language is the universal language of the galactic, of the beyond, of other universes, or, of this universe, and just in a multidimensional, more quantum view, for lack of a better way to explain it. And so know that you can respond to your kiddo, to their gibberish in light language, or a way to really kind of understand telepathic communication and telepathy. Just respond. Have you ever seen some of those videos where the baby's speaking in gibberish and the guy's like, oh my God, right, dude? Tell me more. What's going on there? That's actually you really learning telepathy. I know I've seen it before, on Instagram as a joke. is like this, yeah, it's a cute little video. I'm sure I couldn't find it even if I tried, but it's a dude sitting with a little infant and the baby's like, oh, and he's like, yeah, dude, right? I know. What else did you think? Like, I think they were watching a sports game or something. And so respond back to it. If you want to start speaking light language, trust yourself. Do some research on it. That's so okay. I'm going to end with the light language thingamajim soon. So I want you to really, and play that for your kiddo and see how they respond. It's of the highest. I'll finish with what I'm saying, and then I'll go over to what the light language is going to be. So there is a kiddo that came into the restaurant a few months ago, I want to say, and she was very, very sensitive, usually didn't like being around people that she didn't know or strangers. She was very, very close to her family. And so I would come over and she would say something to me in gibberish. I'd be like, and I would just do light language in my hands. And, you know, that's something that, you know, when you're like this with babies, you're kind of doing a little bit of a light language. You're kind of doing a little bit of a healing. So you can start to do things like this for the kiddos and just see what happens, and just like butterfly wings and stuff like that. Because what they see is like the aura. They see you unwinding certain spells of yourself. They see you just healing the whole world. Just by doing this. I know. How cool is that? It doesn't take as much work as you thought it was going to take. And so, and the whole family, like the whole group was like, she doesn't like strangers. How, like, we were having full on conversations where she was speaking gibberish and I was speaking light language. And like I said, a lot of my telepathy I turn down when I'm in more human spaces so I can focus in the present moment. But, you know, light language just comes through as effortless as the English language does come through. And so I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. So I think those are all the topics that I wrote down. Dancing and stemming could be just like that bubbling technique, putting on music and just literally stemming out the energy and dancing around. And I want you kind of like really stomping your feet on the planet, on the earth. This could be something you could go outside to do, get in the grass, get in the dirt. If it's raining, you can do that in puddles, and let that be so healing. Really let that be healing. And, but yeah, music that really healed you as a kiddo. I'm hearing like 80s music, like good stuff, like that's like Prince, like that type of stuff could be really healing. And playing not just music that your kids like, but music that you really liked, that brings out that nostalgia in you. And dance like, oh my God, Kevin Bacon, thank you. And so it's, or Molly Ringwald, whoever you want to be. But I feel like a lot of Gen Xers could be enjoying this content right now. So now I'm going to channel a light language experience. So please, before I do that, thank you for being here. Really, I appreciate every single one of you. This is not my, you know, normally I'm doing astrology or channeling or, you know, all different things like that. But this felt so specific and so necessary. And it's something that's not that I've been putting off doing, but it's time, you know? I got two little messages, two little dings to do this. So if you're keen for more content like this, I can start a little series. If you are interested in booking a consultation to see if I can be helpful to you and your kiddo and offer guidance to you, please reach out directly. The email address is listed below. If you want to just jump right into a session, my menu is on my website. All of my rates right now are my friends and family rate, which is $144 for a session. I've lowered them for the time being to make this as accessible as possible. If everything on the planet is going up and everything is becoming like this pimple that's about to pop, I want to be there for you. That's really my concern. And I'll put, you know, like the human disassociation and the what is the collective consciousness videos below, because although there's stuff happening all out there, all those dumpstifiers that we can focus on, my concern is you. Yeah, this is a multidimensional cafe. It's really just you and I chit-chatting. So I'm just going to channel a little light language healing, and this is an offering. You can watch it for yourself. You can watch it, or maybe watch it first for yourself, and then, nope, I don't need to speak to the EA, the Santa stuff. I'm going to let her speak to it completely. And because to this day, I still believe. And so it's very like, do what is best for you. But I love that that is a nice parable that she uses, and I'm going to let her speak to that because it was eloquent and I don't need to put my own opinion on there. So I'm just going to channel a light language healing, watch it for yourself, and if you ever feel comfortable and confident, put this on for your kiddo and see how they react to it. See how you react first. Don't be like, oh, we're done, and then put it there. Really, I'm here for you. And then you are the one that's responsible for showing anything to your children. Yeah. Yeah. Ra shikoto ro koko koronto to rakatayanti o toro lakoto tunyo ko poro to shukopani ganio ranto kokusho ponto no ko aranto kokopusho koponyo kono rito to riko kusho bonana ratio kono ratio conosce podiana cana rantico bantu iano uikano ma rashito copo yashata porranta torno la tatana la teco con rantico to porsia rito contomo rento coponio coni shiobana con yora nia rasho puri contono Rashi pukon tono, rantushu pukon diana. There are no mistakes, and you cannot mistake what you mistake to be a mistake. You cannot mess up what it is that your soul has contracted to do, to be with the soul of your child. You cannot make a mistake. Lead with love. You are always safe. Remove the thoughts of what you think is best and lead with love. Lead with your heart, not your mind. You will not be led astray. Your child would ask the questions. They will ask what it is that they need to know from you, and you will offer them proper guidance. This will bring you closer. With love, we offer you more. Ra uria rushiona rashupuana adiahono oriokono like a rattle. Yes. Ro rakpunyo ana diotapono kono nipyono aya. Do not fear the lines in the sky. Bubble. You are safe. Spend time learning to bubble. Many resources available for you. Do not fear the outer. It is the inner. Infinite on both ends. Infinite out, infinite in. It is the same. You are safe. You are home. Thank you for being here on the planet. Do not fear the darkness. Just work on brightening your own light. Thank you. That was super cool. What questions do you have for me? Please comment them below, and please send a direct email if you have very specific questions, and I'm happy to go back and forth with you for a little bit. If it gets to a point that we need to book a session, we will, but I'm happy to answer some questions for you. If you feel safe and comfortable and confident, please share them here with the group. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. It's a really exceptional world that we're living in right now, and things are becoming so much more efficient, and so it's really, I'm putting as much out on YouTube as I possibly can. I'm very, very grateful for YouTube, and I know that this video will find those that need it. You're doing a really great job. You're doing a great job. I'm proud of you. I'm here for you. I'm just hugging you so tight, and just feel it all. Feel it all. See how you feel after this. Turn your phone off, or, after you watch this, just take a moment, sit outside, and just be like, okay, how did I feel? Maybe tomorrow do some journaling on it. But these are offerings, not doctrine. I am a guide, no guru. These are tools that have worked for me and that I offer to my clients, and please reach out directly. It's time to turn off. Okay. Ciao. See you soon.